Hey everyone, Billy the Kid here, and today I'm doing a full review on the Third Rail H10b. This is Third Rail's final steam locomotive that they're ever producing. It's very unfortunate, but we got a lovely model right here to look at. So, Third Rail, if you don't know, they make high-end brass locomotives like the one you see in front of you, and they've done a bunch of different locomotives. I believe they did an Allegheny. That one's pretty pricey. They've also done the New York Central Mercury. That one's actually a diecast model. I have one of those. If you guys want, I could do a video on that. And today, I'm just going to tell you about this particular model of from Third Rail. We'll go over, is it worth it? What are my issues with it? And what I love about it. So stick around, and well, hopefully, I can not only entertain you, but also maybe tell you why this is a fantastic model to have. So let's start up front with the pros. So we're going to go over front to back, tip to butt, whatever you want to call it. We're going to go over the pros. Pro number one, obviously, look at those classification lights. These are like a nice muted. They're not the Lionel laser beams. Because let's be honest, they're classification lights. They're just supposed to show, hey, this is the front of the train, this is the back of the train, or whatever. The only thing that should be bright is the headlight, which it really is. It's nice brightness. So I like that the headlight is bright, but the classification lights, they're nice in like a nice muted color. That's been a complaint with Lionel for a little while, is their classification lights are just so bright. And it's actually kind of annoying, but I have no fix for that. Obviously, the amazing detail on this is great. We look at that, the front here. I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. You can see you actually got wood, like the wood texture, I guess you can call it, actually on these, like on the front here. It looks really good. You also got your safety tread on the front here, of course, on the sides. And a little bit later, I am going to show you the fireman side of the locomotive. But till then, let's just make our way down. Another big pro is obviously the smoke unit in this thing. This thing is probably one of my best smokers. One of the best smoking engines I have. It's honestly impressive how much smoke this belches out. Of course, the only smoke I use is JT Mega Steam. Sorry about that. But, it's fantastic. It really is. Obviously, some people use their smoke units. My view is you buy a steam locomotive, you want it to smoke. All right. This is my issue with some of Lionel's engines. Some of them really good smokers, some aren't. So whatever smoke unit this is, I love it. I think it's fantastic. And again, down the side of the engine here, we just have that great detail. A lot of pipes. You got your throttle control here. It really is amazing. Of course, you got your all-weather cab. It looks great. The inside's very detailed, even though it is an all-weather cab. I will show you that, by the way. Up top here, you have your little hatches. Kind of stiff. Some of them are a little bit more loose and easier to move. Some of them kind of stiff, but all three hatches move. Of course, you got your rivets. And this is really what brass is all about. Kind of get a little bit lower. This door opens. The fireman side does not open. I believe it doesn't open. No, it does not open. But again, personally, I think having that little detail there, that's kind of nice. Kind of unexpected as well. You also have your, like, I guess these little deflectors, these little window deflectors here. You have two of those. Um, you also have them on the fireman side as well. And again, if I can, you got that amazing safety tread on the walkway there. It just looks fantastic. The whistle looks amazing. Um, at some point, I would love to talk to Sid if he'd be able to put whistle steam in this. That'd be hilarious. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. But I don't want to bother him or bug him. I almost forgot. I almost forgot at the front here. I can't believe I forgot. You got your dummy scale coupler. There's no chain, although there is a possibility to add a chain. If I can get it a little bit lower. Oh, yeah, you can see that. You do have a hole in the this here. You have a hole in the dummy scale coupler there. So if you wanted to add a chain for the bar to actually, essentially look like, oh, I'm actuating the chain, you could do that. That's probably a project for a whole nother day. Something I personally wouldn't do, but that's just me. Of course, the drive gear is fantastic. This is sprung, by the way. Yeah, the locomotive and the tender is sprung. So it's got actual suspension like a real locomotive. By the way, sorry for the coughing, you know. But, great detail. The running gear looks fantastic. It looks amazing actually running. Although I would recommend a good oil. This is not really an issue. It might be, it just needs to be oiled a little bit more. I am getting some squeaks. I'm not sure if it's from the locomotive or the tender. I'd have to really dive more into it. But, nonetheless, oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry about that. But once again, it looks fantastic going down the track. And again, just having that bit of suspension, like I'm pushing down on the locomotive right now. And it actually does have some suspension. I think that's awesome. Again, the detailing is just immaculate. Because this is the all-weather cab, you do have your diaphragm here. Let me raise you guys up a little bit. Once again, I will take you inside of the cab. I will show you the inside of the cab. But you got your diaphragm here. That's a metal piece. It looks good. It really makes it more, I would say, realistic. Because usually with O scale, you have a big gap between the tender and the locomotive. So in this case, and this can run on 054 curves. The track that's on right now, the curves that I have my smallest curve is 060, and my largest is 072. It looks good on either, but if you do have 054, the H10b can run on 054. So I really do like it. It is you do have a wired tether. Now, the thing with the wired tether, It's a bit more challenging to put in, especially with this all-weather cab. I'm not sure with the normal cab versions, but it is very tough to get in. Um, I would recommend using like a flathead screwdriver or, something like these, where you can like really get a good grip on them and place it in. What I've actually found out is third rail actually the tether has a lot more wire than it looks. You pull out a little bit more of the tether, and you can actually get it seated more properly. So if it looks like it's seated and it doesn't move, you didn't seat it properly. You really got to give it another oomph to really get it seated. Onto the top of the tender here, the call load looks fantastic. As you can see, it really does look great. I have no complaints with it. I believe this is real coal. If not, it looks good. I mean, I can't really tell, to be honest, but nonetheless, it does look good. This hatch in the back here, you have your run program switch, which let me try to at least get you guys to see in there. So that's your run program switch and a volume switch or a volume knob. You got a flathead screwdriver, a small one, put in there. You can kind of adjust the volume. You can also adjust the volume from your remote. This does have TMCC in it. Keep that in mind. The speaker on this is amazing, to say the least. I'll give you a little bit of a test. I'll get my Cab 2 remote out, but I'll blow the whistle for you guys. There we go. So you can see it, you can hear it. I mean, not hopefully blow your eardrums out. It's pretty good. I have to say, I really do like the speakers they use, or the speaker they use. It's fairly crystal clear. I don't know if that has ever been an issue with some people. I've never had a huge issue, personally, with the. All right, my remote doesn't want to turn off. Oh well. But I have to say, even for TMCC, this is fantastic. Um, down the line again, talk to Sid. If I would be able to like put legacy in this, whistle steam, that'd be great. However, when we get to the cons, there's something else I would rather do to this first, but that's in the cons section. The other nice thing is, of course, here uh, the trucks here. You got chains. You got like little chains there. You got your water scooper. So it's very nice. The detailing on this is just really, really high up. And of course, on the back here, you got your electrocoupler. You got, yourself a backup light. You got yourself your backup light here. You can actually read the tonnage of the coal it can hold and the gallons of water. This one can hold 15,000 gallons of water and 18 tons of coal. And the lettering looks very, very crisp. And of course, your little plates, the foot plates there, whatever you want to call these. You got that wood design on it. It looks good. I love it. I think it's really just a fantastic looking model. But I'm going to show you again the inside and the fireman side, because the fireman side is also very detailed. So this is the inside of the cab, as you can see. You got your light up there. You got your gauges that light up. It's actually pretty detailed for, you know, a locomotive that you're never going to see inside the cab, really. You got your engineer, your fireman. It's a beautifully detailed backhead. This is another con. I call it a con, but your mileage might vary. No glow in the dark. No glowing firebox. No firebox flicker, unfortunately. And I mean, considering the price for this model, I kind of wish there was, the ash pan glow effect that MTH and Lionel are doing. But it is what it is. But again, they did a fantastic job on the inside of this cab. And again, keep in mind, this is the all-weather cab. You're really not going to see inside, but they did a great job. I love it. I think they did a fantastic job. So this is the fireman side of the H10b, and again, you can see the high detail. You got your painted knobs here, painted valves, your piping, all that. It really is just amazing. And all that piping, it's just amazing. Again, you got the really beautiful running gear on there as well. There's a better view of the whistle and your dynamo generator. And of course, you do have a cord for the whistle, so that's cool. I believe the door actually does open. Mine's a bit stuck. It kind of opens, but it's, I don't want to force it and break it, but I think it does open. It's supposed to open, but mine's a bit stuck. You also again have your little deflectors here, and again that detail on the firebox there, all that detail there. This ladder here, by the way, on mine was broken off, but I was able to just glue it back into place. That's kind of like the rule of thumb when it comes to these higher end models. Is these types of models, like these delicate models, is it's coming from overseas. Something might get damaged. You hope it's not everything, but if it's something like that, a little bit of super glue goes a long way. And then here's the other side of the tender. Again, you got the PN LE up there. You got your near central system. It's not a very busy tender. It's a very nice, simple tender that just works, and it looks good with this model. And again, you can see there's some chains. I love little detail like that, where there's just little bits of detail when it comes to the chains on the tender trucks. Sorry about that. Jesus, I'm hacking up a storm over here. But that's the beauty of brass, is when you get to this level of detail. It's worth the money. But the next segment that we're going to talk about is some of my critiques on this model, and there are nitpicks for sure. There are a couple of nitpicks, but there is one really big critique I have for this particular model. And, I hope you stick around, because that would actually probably, influence you on your purchase, down the line, if you do want to purchase this type of model. I don't know how many are left over there at Third Rail, but, or if you want to buy it secondhand, it's up to you. So we're going to start with some nitpicks, and then go into really my biggest critique of this particular model. So nitpick one, no firebox flicker. I think I mentioned that when showing you the inside of the cab. I'm pretty sure I did. That's a bit of a nitpick, obviously, again, how often are you going to see the inside of this cab? Yeah, it's an all-weather cab. You're not going to really see inside the cab. But they took the time to make the cab very, very detailed. Again, I showed you guys the inside of the cab. I was surprised how detailed it is. And that little extra little bits like that really go a long way, especially considering the price of this model. Actually, and there's no ash pan glow. Again, when you're spending this kind of money, yes, it's brass. Yes, it's, put together by craftsmen. You got to pay them, obviously. But, if you're spending a premium, all right, I kind of want all the bells and whistles, right? Like that's what I want. I can understand with the Hiawatha that just came out. The Hiawatha doesn't have, you can't really see inside the cab because the entire cab is closed. It's completely closed off. So there really is no need for the firebox flicker. There's no firebox flicker. There's no ash pan glow because it's a shroud covering the ash pan. So I can kind of get it. Again, would it have been nice to have that? Sure. But again, with the Hiawatha, there's more of an excuse because you literally can't see inside the cab on the new Hiawathas that just came out. Um, it's one of those things where because I can see a little bit inside the cab, I would have preferred having the ash pan glow, the firebox flicker. I think it would have looked great. Number two, nitpick number two. One thing I mentioned was the tether. This is kind of a lesser nitpick than the firebox flicker, only because honestly, now that it's secured in there, chances are of it actually coming loose is impossible. And I like the way Third Rail does their tether, the wire tether. It's like a lay flat tether as opposed to, like a PS2 tether like that, where it's, it coils up and it can get caught on the tender. The A2 Burke has that issue too. But, what can you do about it? But, for like a week straight, I was trying to figure out why this was not working. And I'm like, well, it's inserted all the way. I thought it was, in the port. I thought it was connected properly. Turned out it wasn't. I emailed Scott. By the way, that's a pro for Third Rail is you could email Scott and he will respond to you. He's like, yeah, you got to make sure it's in seated all the way. It looks like it's seated, but it actually isn't. Use a flathead screwdriver. If you got big old, sausage fingers like I do, and again, it's an all-weather cab. It's more difficult to, properly plug it in. But once it's seated, it's seated. It's probably not going to come loose. So that's kind of a nitpick. I thought there was something wrong with the locomotive. I thought there was some wiring issue. But Scott did say if, it is seated properly, let me know. And, if there is an issue, we'll send it back to me and we'll figure it out. So good on Scott. That's a pro for him. But, that's one thing. If you are going to get this model, maybe use some tweezers, this little clamp that I have. And again, there's plenty of wire for the tether. You might have to pull some out to actually connect it in there to plug it in. Now, a little bit of a nitpick, the headlight. I wish it wasn't that bright, like that bright white, only because I prefer like a more of a yellowish hue to it. I'll show you. Like, it's very bright. I would have preferred a more yellowish, like a more yellowish hue, kind of like the classification lights, but it doesn't look bad. It's a headlight. It's supposed to be bright, so you can see. That's just me. Kind of more of a nitpick, and this might be user error. I've been having an issue with it squeaking. I've oiled it plenty. Just going to turn off the layout so we don't short anything out on accident. But I'm getting like some pretty bad squeaks. And I've used this, Hobby Lube, this premium medium oil, this stuff right here. It's not bad, but the squeaking, it's kind of annoying. And again, that might just be user error, but still. So I would recommend you definitely, if you are getting some squeaks, maybe try a different oil. That's what I'm going to end up probably doing, is buying different oil and trying that out. Because it might be this oil is just not good for the locomotive. It doesn't really work as well. Or maybe I got to re-oil it. Who knows? Now, the price. This locomotive, just the locomotive alone, cost me $2,300. I'll say it again, $2,300 for this locomotive. Now, keep in mind, again, it's brass, very detailed. And those little nitpicks that I've mentioned, especially the firebox flicker, it not having whistle steam, you can see, like, hey, I can buy a Lionel or an MTH engine with whistle steam, with firebox flicker for half the price. Those little things kind of add up. And it's just like, I wish that it had those. It's not a huge deal breaker for me, but I think what is going to be a huge deal breaker for a lot of people is this issue that I actually really haven't. It's a real big critique of mine. The pulling power. The pulling power on this is not great. I've talked to Sid in, I believe, Joker's Discord server. And from what he has told me is Third Rail uses, like, the way they do their drivetrain is like HO from the 70s, where it's using a rubber band. It's not the same type of drivetrain that like Lionel or MTH uses, which are far better. It's far more efficient. And, I get it. These aren't heavy models. A lot of this is brass. So, you're not getting that die cast weight on the wheels. But, this still has some weight to it. It still has weight to it. All right. It's not die cast weight, but there's still weight. So it should be able to pull, a decent sized train fairly easily. Now, I've tested it with 12 cars or 12 pieces of rolling stock. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 12. And it, and it's various weights, like the MTH Westinghouse Schnabel. That's heavier than, the K-Line, Iraqi Freedom cars. The Lionel hobo box car might be heavier than this, than like an MTH hopper. So like it has different weights. The cars are all different weights, and it pulls it. But I would recommend starting on a straightaway. I actually hooked up my 20th Century Limited passenger cars, all 8 of them, from Lionel. And in the defense of this, Lionel's 21-inch passenger cars are not the greatest when it comes to quality control. In the defense of this, because my RPO car for the 20th Century Limited, or RPO baggage car, the wheels kind of scrape. They're too, they're not like, they don't roll smoothly. So, and that's not this particular engine's fault. That's more Lionel's issue with their quality control. But even hooking up the cars that do run smoothly, it's not. It does kind of struggle just a little bit, and I wish that it had a better drivetrain in it. Again, I would probably have to talk to Sid. This would have to be planned out on a very long time to see if there's a way to like jerry-rig a better drivetrain into this. Because I would not mind that. Again, if this can run better, that power gets from the motor to the drive wheels more efficiently, then it would run a lot better. But I don't plan on taking this apart anytime soon because it does look really good. I do kind of want to run it a lot more before I do any serious modifications to it. And I'm certainly not going to be the one modifying it because I do not trust myself. I can get it apart, but getting it back together, something I'm not going to be able to do. So, overall, would I recommend this? Would I recommend buying this? Maybe. If you are an established hobbyist, yes. Then that's like the only reason I would recommend buying this is if you are an established hobbyist. If you're just getting into the hobby, stay away from this. There are plenty of scale models that are relatively cheap. I was at when I was picking up my Hiawatha, I went to Trainland and they had like some SW1 switchers. They were like $400, and they were scale. Um, so like the only way I recommend getting this is if you are established in the hobby, you have a layout, you got the money to spend. Because honestly, if I didn't like this engine, I would have skipped over it. If this particular engine, the green boiler all-weather cab, wasn't available to purchase, I would have skipped over the engine completely from Third Rail. I would not have bought it. And that's mainly because I like weird engines. I like engines that have the all-weather cab, the green boiler, that kind of stuff I like. That's just my personal opinion. But, let me know if you guys would buy it. Like I said, they might have some still in stock. I don't know. I would check with Third Rail. But keep in mind, there are two versions. There's 4 different locomotives. And each locomotive, there's either a 3-rail version or a 2-rail version. I'm not sure if they do conversions from 2-rail to 3-rail. They probably do. But nonetheless, that's where you stand. $2,300 locomotive. Only get if you're established in the hobby and you have the money to burn. But other than that, it's a nice looking engine. I like it. Would I recommend everybody get it? No. If you like it and you particularly wanted it, then yeah, go for it. So, that's really it. So, see you guys next time. I'm Billy the Kid, and bye.